hand of a black person, and this black person's skin has changed from black to white, and so Moses would have seen his hand looking like that. And I'm going to explain this image, as I told you at the end of this one. I'm going to explain this image in just a moment. So, but that's very significant. And as I stated, if Moses looked like Charlton Heston, if Moses looked like the guy who played the new Moses in the new Ten Commandments, then what would have been the miracle and power of turning the hand of a white man white? Now, we call white people white not because they're pure, or more pure than anybody else. No, that's not it. Their skin is actually have a pinkish tint to it. And they're called white because they have the lightest skin of all of mankind. They have the least amount of melanin in their skin of all of mankind. I'm going to explain briefly what melanin is in just a moment also. So, that's why we call them white people, because of their skin shade. So if skin is already white, as I stated, if it already has lacking a lot of melanin within their skin, what would have been the miracle of turning the skin of a white person white? Why not, if Moses looked like Charlton Heston, the same shade, the same tone, why not turn his hand black? Remember, Yah is showing power. He's showing Moses a miracle. Why not turn his hand jet black if he's already a white man? But that didn't happen. It was just the opposite. Now let's look at this, because that miracle was so powerful and was so strong. Let's go to verse 7. We're going to read verse 7 and 8 of Exodus chapter 4. Verse 7 says, "And he said, put your hand into your bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh." So we see right here that Moses' hand was the opposite of white. It was not white, because scripture tells us that when he put his hand back into his bosom, that it turned the same as his other flesh, meaning his other flesh was not white. And we know it was not white because we know that Moses passed for 40 years as the grandson of Pharaoh. And we know that Pharaoh was black, and Pharaoh was out to kill all the Hebrew boys, but he did not know Moses was Hebrew. So we know Moses was black. And we know that he was called an Egyptian. You know, the Apostle Paul was mistaken as an Egyptian. Yeshua hidden in Egypt. The Most High comparing his people to the Ethiopians. Also, we see the Apostle Philip, in that Ethiopian Hebrew. So we know that the Hebrews were a black people, so it makes more sense, right, for Yah to turn the hand of a black man white to show his power. Yes, it does. Verse 8, "And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe you, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign," get this, "that they will believe the voice of the latter sign." Ain't that something? Yah said, Moses, listen here. If they don't believe your staff turning into a serpent, okay, that's all right. But they will believe your hand turning white. They will believe the voice of the latter sign. That's what Yah says. Because it was such a powerful miracle to turn that hand of that black man white. It was powerful. So you see on your screen right there, Charlton Heston. Scripture tells us Moses' hand returned as his other flesh. Meaning if his hand, he put it in there and it turns white, which means that when his hand has turned white, it's different from his other flesh, and he put it back into his bosom. Lo and behold, it turns as his other flesh, meaning his other flesh was not white. So we see Charlton Heston on the screen, portraying our great prophet Moses, and Charlton Heston is one of the biggest racists. He, if Charlton Heston would have known this information, or if he would have seen this DVD back then, he would not have played Moses, But right here we see Charlton Heston playing Moses, portraying Moses. So we see if Moses was this skin shade, brothers and sisters, what would have been the power of the Most High turning his hand white? Like I say, why not turn it black, or maybe even blue? Most High can turn it any color he wants to. He can turn it into a rainbow if he feel like it. But he didn't. He turned his hand white as snow, scripture says. Lepers as snow. Lepers, once again, is a disease that turns the black skin white. So he turned his hand white. Why not turn it black if Moses was already white? But nope, Moses was already a black man, and we have already verified that. He passed as an Egyptian for 40 years. And the Egyptians were black people, so Moses passed as a black man, a black Egyptian. He was a black Hebrew. and the Most High turned his black hand white. And the Most High said himself, Moses, if they don't hearken to that first sign, they will believe the voice of the latter sign. What was the latter sign? Turning that black hand white. That's how powerful it was. Black hand turns white. So here's an image of the new Moses and the new Ten Commandments. If Moses looked like that, brothers and sisters, how much whiter can you get? And it's funny how they got the new image of the Moses of Moses in here. You know, they got him. Look at. I don't know if you all are familiar with those Geico commercials. You know, I saved a lot on my car insurance. I got good news to tell you. Then they bust out and say, I saved a lot of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico. Well, Geico has a lot of commercials on TV, and I just happened to catch one a few times with some cavemen on there. And you know, they were saying that they service, you know, Geico, the point of the commercial was that they serve everybody, even cavemen. And so these cavemen were brought into modern times, and, you know, they was dressed all up, and, you know, they were at a fancy restaurant. But the point of it, what I'm trying to show is that image of that caveman, as you see right there, look like the new image of Moses. You know, they didn't make Moses look like a caveman. And we know he didn't look like that. Doesn't it make sense that Moses would have looked like this brother right here? Doesn't it make all the sense in the world that this is what Moses looked like? Now remember, Moses passed as the grandson, secretly passed as the grandson of Pharaoh Seti the First. Look at Pharaoh Seti the First right there. Doesn't it make sense that this is what Moses would have looked like? We have two images right here. Look at that. Deception, and that's truth. Deception and truth. See, brothers and sisters, you have to come out of that great lie that they have been telling us. You see how when you have little understanding of the scripture, just how they just open up to you now? You may have been reading these verses for so long, but look at them now. Look at them now. They're opening up and they're talking to you. Let's go to the book of Numbers 12, since we are on the topic of leprosy. Let's go to Numbers chapter 12. Numbers chapter 12, very interesting situation that happens here. Moses' sister and brother, Miriam and Aaron, speak out against Moses. They were jealous of Moses because Moses was a great prophet. And Miriam was a prophetess, and Aaron was a prophet also. But Moses was Yah's greatest prophet. You know, during that time. And so they got it, you know, they were jealous. And so we're going to read about this situation right here. And we're going to see what did the Most High do as it relates to leprosy and the children of Israel. Numbers chapter 12, verse 1. And it states, And Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman. Now they spake out against him. Now a lot of people like to go right here and say, brother, see, all that stuff you have been saying is wrong, because right here they speaking out against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman, and this proved that they didn't want him marrying a black woman. It's garbage. That explanation is garbage, but I do hear that, and that do come about. Let me explain to you what's happening here. Remember when we read in Acts 10:28 with the apostle Kepha, or Peter, who walked side by side with the Messiah, and the Messiah gave him great blessings? You know, gave a great word for Brother Kepha. But Brother Kepha had to be shown, and Brother Kepha was like, hey, it's unlawful for a man that is a Hebrew to keep company of those of another nation. Now, there's no law that actually states this, but the Hebrews thought this. They thought that they were not to come unto other nations. So, what we see right here is that this was not a new thought, because Peter was of the New Testament time, around the 1st century CE, Common Era. Moses and Miriam were of the BC area, what we call the Old Testament, before the Common Era. So we see right here that what Miriam and Aaron are speaking out because of the Ethiopian woman is because she was of another nation, another culture. Now this, unlike the Ethiopian man that we read in Acts 8:26, now this was before the children of Israel were scattered around into other nations. Now when we get to the New Testament time, the 10 tribes are already gone, and some of the 2 tribes probably all over the place. So Israel was a scattered nation, as we are to this day. So we see right here that Numbers 12:1, when Miriam and Aaron spake out, they speaking out because this woman was of another nation, of another culture, just like Brother Peter told you, Kepha told you in Acts 10:28, because the Hebrews thought that they were not to come unto others of another nation. So that's why they spake out against, that's why they made any mention. But notice Moses had married an Ethiopian woman because he was black and she was black. You know, they were both black. But in verse 2, this is the real reason why they spake out against Moses. And they said, had Yah indeed spoken only by Moses? Had he not spoken also by us? And Yah heard it. Verse 9, and the anger of Yah was kindled against them, and he departed. Now look, Yah was angry, right? The anger of Yah was kindled against them. Look at this, verse 10. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. She was white. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was white. When it says that she was leprous, she was white. So we see right here, Moses' sister, Miriam, the Hebrew Israelite, was turned white as snow with leprosy. Why did the Most High turn her white as snow? Verse 9 said, because the anger of Yah was kindled against them, and he departed. Yah was mad because they were speaking against Moses, his great prophet. And Miriam probably was the one that was outspoken the most. And so Yah struck her. Yah was angry with her. He could have taken her heart right out of her chest right there. But no, he didn't do that, because she was still one of his prophetess, but he had to punish her for what she was doing. So he turned her white as snow. White as snow. Once again, remember, he was angry at her, and he showed her his anger. Once again, if Miriam looked like these white Jewish girls on the screen right here, what would have been the power behind Yah showing his anger to her? How much more white can these women get right here if Miriam was their skin color? Why not turn